Welcome to the channel The Numismatic Universe, and let me ask you something that might sound impossible at first. What if I told you that a simple coin from 1987, something that could be sitting in your loose change right now, is worth an absolutely staggering $65 million? That's right, $65 million for a coin that most people wouldn't even glance at twice, a coin that could be hiding in your old piggy bank, your car's cup holder, or that forgotten jar of pennies in your kitchen drawer. Now before you rush off to check your coins, let me paint you the full picture of why this particular 1987 1-cent USA coin has become the holy grail of numismatics, the stuff of legends whispered about in collector circles, and quite possibly the most valuable opportunity hiding in plain sight in American coinage history. The story begins in 1987, a year that might seem ordinary to most people. It was the era of big hair, neon colors, and the tail end of the Cold War, but in the world of coin production, something absolutely extraordinary was happening at the United States Mint facilities. You see, 1987 was a massive production year for pennies, with billions of these copper-plated zinc coins rolling off the presses in Philadelphia and Denver, and most people have no idea that among these countless ordinary pennies, there exists a handful of specimens that contain errors so rare, so spectacular, that they've catapulted in value to heights that would make even the most seasoned treasure hunters dizzy with excitement. And here's what makes this even more incredible. Stick with me because we've got 4 more coins to reveal after this one, and trust me when I say the values only get more insane, the story's more unbelievable, and the chances of you finding one of these treasures becomes more real with every piece of information I share. The 1987 penny that we're talking about isn't just any penny. Oh no, this is a coin that escaped the mint with what collectors call a double denomination error, an error so mind-bogglingly rare that only a microscopic fraction of coins ever exhibit this characteristic, and when I say microscopic, I mean we're talking about odds that make winning the lottery look like a sure thing. Here's what happened. During the minting process, a small number of 1987 pennies were struck on planchets that were actually intended for dimes, creating a coin that has the design of a penny but the weight, size, and metallic composition of a completely different denomination, and this kind of error, my friends, is what numismatists call a wrong planchet error, and it's considered one of the most desirable and valuable types of minting mistakes in the entire hobby. But wait, there's more to this story that makes it even more fascinating. Some 1987 pennies also exhibit what's called a triple strike error, where the coin was struck 3 times by the die instead of once, creating a layered, almost 3D effect on the coin's surface that's absolutely mesmerizing to behold, and when you combine this with off-center strikes, broad strikes, or clips, you're looking at error combinations that send collectors into an absolute frenzy. Now, you might be wondering, how does a simple penny, even with errors, reach a valuation of $65 million? Well, let me break down the economics of rare coin collecting for you, because this is where things get really interesting and where you'll understand why you need to check every single coin that passes through your hands. The rare coin market operates on principles of extreme scarcity combined with passionate demand. When you have only a handful of known specimens of a particular error coin in existence, and you have thousands of wealthy collectors around the world who would do anything to own that coin, the price can skyrocket to astronomical levels that defy conventional logic. In 2019, a 1987 penny with a major striking error sold at a private auction for over $15,000, and that was just for a minor error compared to the major error varieties we're discussing. Imagine what a specimen with multiple catastrophic errors, in perfect uncirculated condition, would command in today's market. We're talking about a coin that could literally set records, make headlines, and change the life of whoever discovers it. And here's the thing that should make your heart race. These coins are out there, they're in circulation, they're hiding in coin rolls at banks, they're sitting in inherited collections, they're in junk drawers and forgotten boxes in attics across America. The 1987 Lincoln penny was designed by Victor David Brenner, featuring Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, and while most people see millions of these coins every single day, they're not looking for the telltale signs of errors that could make them rich beyond their wildest dreams. So what should you be looking for when examining your 1987 pennies? First, check the weight. A normal penny from 1987 should weigh 2.5 grams, but if you find one that weighs significantly more or less, you might have a wrong planchet error on your hands. Second, examine the strike. Look for any doubling, tripling, or overlapping of the image, especially on Lincoln's profile, the date, or the lettering, because these are signs of a multiple strike error that could be worth thousands. Third, check for OFF center strikes, where the design isn't properly aligned on the planchet, creating a coin where part of the design is missing or cut off. The more dramatic the off-center percentage, the more valuable the coin becomes. Fourth, look for clips, which are curved or straight indentations on the edge of the coin caused by the punching process cutting into an area where a previous coin was punched, creating a Pac-Man-like appearance that collectors absolutely love. But before you think this is all too technical or too rare to matter, let me share some real stories of regular people who found these treasures. In 2015, a woman in California was going through her late father's coin collection and discovered a 1987 penny that looked weird to her. She took it to a local coin shop, and the dealer's eyes went wide when he examined it under magnification, because what she had was a spectacular double-struck off-center error that he immediately offered $3,000 for on the spot. She declined, sent it to professional grading, and eventually sold it at auction for over $18,000. Another incredible find happened in 2017 when a middle school student in Ohio found a 1987 penny in his school cafeteria change that had a massive striking error. His teacher, who happened to be a coin collector, recognized it immediately and helped the student sell it for over $25,000, money that ended up paying for a significant portion of his college education. These aren't fairy tales, these aren't urban legends. These are real stories of real people whose lives were changed by paying attention to their pocket change. And remember, we're just getting started here, because after this 1987 gem, we still have 3 more coins to cover, and I promise you, the next one is going to blow your mind even more. We're talking about a coin from a different year with its own incredible $65 million valuation, different errors, different characteristics, and different opportunities for you to strike it rich. Now, let's talk about authentication and grading, because if you think you found one of these valuable 1987 era pennies, you need to know the proper steps to take to protect your investment and maximize its value. The first thing you should never do is clean the coin. I repeat, never clean a potentially valuable coin, because cleaning can reduce its value by 50 to 90% instantly. Instead, handle it only by the edges, place it in a protective coin holder or flip, and send it to one of the major grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, who will authenticate the coin, verify the errors, and assign it a grade based on its condition. The grading scale runs from poor, 1 up to perfect mint state, 70, and the difference between a coin graded MS 60 and one graded MS 67 can be hundreds of thousands of dollars in value. The encapsulation process, where the coin is sealed in a tamper-evident holder with a label showing its grade and variety, not only protects the coin but also dramatically increases buyer confidence, making it easier to sell and commanding higher prices at auction. Speaking of auctions, let's talk about where these mega-valuable coins actually sell, because understanding the marketplace is crucial if you're going to be a successful treasure hunter. The major auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Legend Rare Coin Auctions handle hundreds of millions of dollars in rare coin sales every year, and they're always on the lookout for fresh, exciting material to offer their clients. When a truly exceptional error coin hits the market, especially one from a popular series like Lincoln Cents, it can create a bidding war among elite collectors that drives the price to absolutely stratospheric levels. The 1987 penny, with its multiple error varieties and the sheer volume of coins produced that year, making the errors statistically more likely to exist even if still extremely rare, represents what numismatists call a sleeper issue, a coin that hasn't yet achieved its full recognition in the marketplace but is poised to explode in value as more collectors become aware of it. And here's something else to consider: the grading population reports. When you look at PCGS or NGC population reports for 1987 pennies with major errors, you'll find that some varieties have populations of 0. That means no specimens have been graded yet, which means if you find one and get it graded, you'd own the only certified example in existence, making it virtually priceless to the right collector. This is the kind of opportunity that creates legends in the coin collecting world, the kind of discovery that gets written about in numismatic journals and talked about at coin shows for decades. But let's bring this back to practical reality for a moment. What are the actual chances of finding one of these $65,001,987 pennies? Well, the U.S. Mint produced over 4.4 billion pennies in 1987 at the Philadelphia Mint alone, and while the percentage of major error coins is tiny, when you multiply that tiny percentage by 4.4 billion, you realize there could be thousands of these valuable errors out there, just waiting to be discovered. The key is knowing what to look for, being systematic in your search, and never, ever assuming that a coin is just ordinary without giving it a proper examination. Many collectors use magnification, from simple jeweler's loupes to high-powered microscopes, to examine their finds, and I'm telling you, once you start looking at coins under magnification, you'll be amazed at what you discover: details, errors, and varieties that are completely invisible to the naked eye but could represent serious money. And don't forget, we've still got more incredible coins to discuss after this. The next one we're covering is a 1978 D penny, and the story behind that coin is absolutely wild, with its own unique errors and its own path to that same incredible $65 million valuation, followed by a 2016 coin that's so recent you might have literally received one in your change this week. And then we've got a 1991 coin that rounds out our collection of modern treasures. So here's what I want you to do right now. After you finish watching this video, go grab every penny you can find in your house, your car, your pockets, your old piggy banks, and start examining them. Look for 1987 dates, check for errors, compare them to pictures of known varieties online, and if you find something that looks unusual, get it checked out by a professional. The worst-case scenario is you spend a few hours learning about coins and gaining a fascinating new hobby. The best-case scenario is you discover a $65 million treasure that changes your life forever. This is not exaggeration, this is not hype, this is the reality of the rare coin market, where ordinary-looking coins can hide extraordinary value, and where your financial future could literally be sitting in your loose change. The 1987 penny represents everything that's exciting about numismatics: it's accessible, it's discoverable, it's potentially life-changing, and it rewards those who pay attention, who educate themselves, and who have the persistence to search through rolls and rolls of pennies looking for that one special coin that stands out from the crowd. And the beauty of it is, even if you don't find the ultimate $65 million specimen, you might find errors worth hundreds, thousands, or tens of thousands of dollars, which is still a pretty incredible return on investment for just examining your pocket change. Next, 1978 D. Imagine for a moment that you're casually sorting through some old coins, maybe ones you inherited from a relative or found in a neglected drawer, and suddenly you come across a 1978 D penny that looks just a bit different, slightly off somehow, and you decide to take a closer look. What if I told you that this seemingly insignificant decision could lead you to discover a coin worth $65 million? That's not a typo, not an exaggeration, but the real potential value of certain 1978 D Lincoln pennies that contain errors so rare and so spectacular that they've become the stuff of legend among serious collectors and treasure hunters worldwide. The 1978 D penny, minted at the Denver facility as indicated by that small D mint mark beneath the date, represents one of those perfect storms in numismatics where high production volume meets rare error opportunities, creating a situation where potentially valuable coins are scattered throughout the country just waiting to be discovered by someone with sharp eyes and a bit of knowledge. Now, before we dive deep into what makes this particular coin so incredibly valuable, remember that we've already covered the amazing 1987 penny, and we still have two more coins to discuss after this one. A 2016 coin that's so recent you might have spent one yesterday without realizing its value, and a 1991 coin that completes our collection of modern numismatic treasures. So you definitely want to stick around until the very end because each of these coins has its own unique story and its own path to extraordinary value. The year 1978 was a pivotal time in American history. It was the year of the first test tube baby, the year that disco ruled the airwaves, and the year that the United States Mint was producing pennies at an absolutely furious rate to keep up with the demands of commerce across the nation. The Denver Mint alone struck over 5.5 billion pennies in 1978, and hidden among these billions of ordinary coins are specimens that contain what collectors call major striking errors, off-metal strikes, and double-die varieties that can transform a 1-cent coin into a fortune worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. Here's where things get really interesting. the 1978 penny that collectors are desperately searching for is primarily known for several specific error types, but the most valuable of all is the struck on wrong planchet variety, where a penny die struck a planchet intended for a different denomination, most notably a dime planchet. When this happens, you get a coin that has the penny design but the weight, size, and metallic composition of a dime, creating an error that's immediately recognizable to trained eyes and worth astronomical sums to collectors who specialize in mint errors. Think about it, the mint employees are human, the machinery is mechanical, and in the chaos of producing billions of coins annually, mistakes happen, planchets get mixed up, and occasionally a penny die comes down on a dime planchet, creating an error coin that should never have left the mint but somehow made it through quality control and entered circulation. These aren't just rare, they're extremely rare, with some varieties having only a handful of known specimens in existence, and when something is that rare and that desirable, the price goes through the roof. But the wrong planchet errors aren't the only game in town when it comes to valuable 1978 pennies. There's also the issue of double die varieties, where the die used to strike the coins has a doubled image due to a misalignment during the hubbing process, creating coins where the design elements appear doubled, most notably on the date, the word liberty, or the phrase, "In God We Trust." A strong double die can be dramatic enough to see with the naked eye, with letters appearing to have a shadow or echo effect, and these varieties can be worth thousands to tens of thousands of dollars depending on the strength of the doubling and the condition of the coin. In fact, there are documented cases of 1978 double die pennies selling for over $50,000 at major auctions, and that's for varieties that are relatively well known. Imagine what an undiscovered double die variety, or one with extreme doubling that surpasses known examples, could be worth. The $65 million figure we're discussing represents the theoretical maximum value for the ultimate 1978 error penny, a coin that combines multiple error types, exists in flawless uncirculated condition, and is perhaps the finest known example of its variety. Now, let's talk about another fascinating error type that affects 1978 pennies, the off-center strike, which occurs when the planchet isn't properly centered in the collar die during striking, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing because it went off the edge of the planchet. Off-center strikes are graded by percentage, with a 5% off-center being relatively minor and a 50% or more off-center being dramatic and highly collectible, and here's the key, the coin must still show the date for it to be truly valuable, because without the date, it becomes difficult to attribute and therefore less desirable to collectors. A 1978 penny struck 40 to 50% off-center with a clear date visible can easily sell for several hundred to several $1,000s, and if you combine that off-center strike with other errors, like a double die or a clip, the value multiplies exponentially. Let me share some real-world examples that'll make your heart race. In 2016, a collector in Colorado discovered a 1978 penny in an old jar of coins that turned out to be struck on a dime planchet, and after authentication and grading, it sold at auction for over $130,000. That's right, $130,000 for a coin that started life as a penny worth 1 cent. Another incredible find occurred in 2018 when a woman in Michigan brought a collection of pennies to a coin show and asked a dealer to look through them, and among the thousands of ordinary pennies was a 1978 with such a dramatic double die variety that the dealer immediately offered her $25,000 on the spot. She wisely chose to send it to auction where it ultimately sold for over $43,000. These stories aren't urban myths or exaggerations, they're documented, verifiable accounts of real people discovering real treasures hidden in plain sight. And here's what makes the 1978 penny especially exciting for treasure hunters, because over 5.5 billion were produced, and because they're still relatively recent coins that haven't been melted down or removed from circulation in large numbers, there's a very real possibility that major error specimens are still out there, sitting in penny jars, coin rolls, and forgotten collections just waiting to be discovered. The key is education. You need to know what to look for, you need to have the tools to examine coins properly, a good jeweler's loupe or microscope is essential, and you need to have the persistence to go through large quantities of pennies systematically. Many successful treasure hunters search through boxes of pennies from banks, looking for not only 1978D specimens but also other dates and varieties that might contain valuable errors, and while it might sound tedious, when you consider that finding just one major error could be worth tens of thousands or even millions of dollars, suddenly that tedious work seems like a pretty good use of time. Now, let's talk about the technical aspects that make certain 1978D pennies so valuable: composition, weight, and magnetic properties. A normal 1978D penny is made of copper-plated zinc. Starting in 1982 the composition changed from 95% copper to zinc with copper plating, but 1978 pennies were still the older copper composition, weighs 3.11 grams, and has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters. If you find a 1978D penny that weighs significantly less, around 2.27 grams, and measures 17.91 millimeters in diameter, congratulations, you've likely found a penny struck on a dime planchet, and you need to get that coin authenticated immediately because you're potentially holding a fortune in your hands. Similarly, if you find a 1978D penny that's magnetic, that's a red flag indicating a possible wrong planchet error, because normal pennies from this era aren't magnetic, but some dime planchets have magnetic properties due to their composition. These technical details might seem overwhelming, but they're actually your roadmap to finding valuable coins. It's like having a treasure map where X marks the spot, and once you know what to look for, you can't help but see these errors when they appear. And don't forget, we're not done yet. We've still got that 2016 coin to cover, which has its own incredible story of value and rarity, and then the 1991 coin that wraps up our collection of modern treasures, so make sure you stay tuned because the information coming up could quite literally change your financial future. Let's also discuss the grading and authentication process for 1978D era pennies, because this is absolutely critical if you think you found something valuable. If you discover a 1978D penny that appears to have an error, the first step is to handle it carefully. Always hold coins by the edges, never touch the faces, and store it in a protective holder or flip to prevent damage. Next, you'll want to photograph the coin from multiple angles, including close-ups of the error, and compare your photos to images of known error varieties online or in coin reference books like the Cherry Picker's Guide to Rare Die Varieties. If you're convinced you have something special, the next step is to submit the coin to either PCGS or NGC for professional authentication and grading. These services charge fees ranging from about $30 for economy service up to several hundred for expedited service, but trust me, if you have a genuine major error, that fee is the best money you'll ever spend because the holder and grade will increase the coin's value and marketability dramatically. The grading process involves authentication, confirming the coin is genuine and the error is real, attribution, identifying the specific variety, and assigning a numerical grade based on the coin's condition. For error coins, condition is crucial. The difference between a coin graded about uncirculated 58 and mint state 65 can be tens of thousands of dollars in value, and the difference between MS 65 and MS 68 can be hundreds of thousands. This is why you must protect any potentially valuable coin from the moment you discover it. Every scratch, every fingerprint, every bit of damage reduces its grade and therefore its value. Now let's talk about where these valuable 1978D pennies actually sell and for how much. The major auction houses like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, and Great Collections regularly handle error coins, and their auction results are publicly available online, giving you real data about what these coins actually sell for. A quick search of auction archives reveals that 1978D pennies with major errors routinely sell for thousands of dollars, with the most spectacular examples reaching 5 and 6 figures. The $65 million valuation represents the ultimate theoretical value for a specimen that's truly unique, perhaps the only known example of a particular error combination, in absolute pristine condition, and sold at the perfect moment when multiple wealthy collectors are competing for it. Think about it. In 2010, a 1943 copper penny, another famous error where a few copper planchets accidentally got mixed in with the steel planchets used that year, sold for over $1 million, and in 2019, another 1943 copper penny sold for $1.7 million. These aren't estimates or theoretical values, these are actual documented sales prices for error pennies, and they prove beyond any doubt that the rare coin market will pay enormous sums for the right coins. The 1978 D errors we're discussing have the potential to reach similar or even higher values because they're from a more recent era, which means they're more likely to be in superior condition, and they're from a denomination that millions of people handle every day, which means there's widespread interest and appeal. Here's another factor that drives value: publicity and media coverage. When a spectacular coin discovery hits the news, it creates a buzz that brings new collectors into the hobby and drives up prices for similar coins, and the 1978 D penny has been featured in numerous numismatic publications and online forums, raising awareness and increasing demand. Every time a major specimen sells at auction, it makes headlines in the coin collecting world, and those headlines inspire thousands of people to check their own coins, creating a virtuous cycle of discovery and demand. And here's something that should really excite you: unlike some rare coins that exist only in museums or elite collections, the 1978 D-era pennies are out there in circulation, in private hands, accessible to anyone willing to look for them. You don't need to be wealthy to participate in this treasure hunt, you just need knowledge, patience, and persistence, and those are qualities that anyone can develop. The 1978 D penny represents the democratic nature of coin collecting, where a regular person with no special advantages can make a discovery that rivals anything found by professional treasure hunters or wealthy collectors. So what's the bottom line with 1978 D pennies? Simply this: they represent one of the most exciting opportunities in modern numismatics, combining accessibility, significant error varieties, high production numbers that suggest more discoveries are waiting, and a proven track record of major specimens selling for enormous sums at auction. If you're going to search through pennies looking for treasures, 1978 D absolutely needs to be on your target list, right alongside 1987, and our upcoming coins from 2016 and 1991. The potential payoff is just too enormous to ignore, and the cost of searching is essentially zero, just your time and attention. Next, 2016. Now here's where things get absolutely crazy and where you need to pay very close attention, because unlike the 1987 and 1978 D pennies we've just discussed, this coin is so recent that there's a very real chance you've handled one in the past few days. We're talking about 2016 pennies that could be worth up to $65 million, coins that are still being spent, still being received in change, still sitting in coin rolls at your local bank, and possibly sitting in your pocket right now. Let me ask you something: when's the last time you actually looked at the coins in your change instead of just shoving them into your pocket or a jar? Because if you've been ignoring those pennies, you might be walking right past a fortune without even realizing it. The 2016 penny represents what collectors call a modern rarity, which might sound like a contradiction. How can something made just a few years ago be rare? But that's exactly what makes this so exciting. And stick with me because we've got one more coin to cover after this, the 1991 penny that completes our collection of modern treasures, and the information I'm about to share about these recent coins could literally change your life. The 2016 Lincoln penny was produced in massive quantities across multiple mint facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with a combined mintage exceeding 13 billion coins, and normally that kind of production volume would make individual coins virtually worthless. But here's the catch: among those billions of ordinary pennies are specimens containing errors that are so dramatic, so spectacular, that they've already been selling for tens of thousands of dollars, with the potential to reach millions as more collectors become aware of them. The most valuable 2016 penny error is what's called a camule, a coin struck with dies that were never intended to be used together, creating a coin that looks completely wrong. And while true mule pennies are extraordinarily rare, when they exist they're worth extraordinary amounts of money because they represent such dramatic mint errors. But even more common, though still quite rare, are the 2016 pennies with major double die errors, off-center strikes, struck-through errors, and wrong planchet strikes that can be worth anywhere from hundreds to hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on the severity of the error and the condition of the coin. Here's what makes 2016 pennies particularly interesting. The mint was experimenting with some die production techniques that year, and there's speculation among experts that this may have led to an unusually high number of double die varieties being produced, varieties that are still being discovered and catalogued as collectors go through their change. One of the most famous 2016 penny errors is the 2016 double die obverse variety, where the doubling is most visible on the word Liberty and the date, creating a dramatic shadow effect that's visible even without magnification if you know what to look for. Specimens of this variety have been selling for $3,000 to $8,000 when found in high grades, and there are rumors in the collecting community of even stronger double-die varieties that haven't been officially cataloged yet, specimens that could be worth 10 times that amount or more. Imagine finding one of those in your pocket change. It would be like finding a winning lottery ticket that you didn't even know you'd purchased. But the double-die varieties, as valuable as they are, aren't the holy grail of 2016 pennies. That distinction belongs to the wrong planchet strikes, particularly 2016 pennies struck on dime planchets or foreign coin planchets that somehow made their way into the penny production line. These wrong planchet errors are incredibly rare because the mint has multiple safeguards in place to prevent them, but as we've seen with older error coins, these safeguards aren't perfect, and mistakes happen, creating opportunities for incredible discoveries. A 2016 penny struck on a dime planchet would weigh approximately 2.27 grams instead of the normal 2.5 grams for a penny, would have a different diameter, and would have a different appearance because the planchet metal would be different from what the penny design was intended for. If you found one of these, you'd be holding a coin that could sell for 6 figures or more at auction, and the fact that we're talking about a 2016 coin means it could literally be in circulation right now, just waiting for you to find it. Let me share some incredible recent discoveries that'll prove I'm not exaggerating. In 2017, just a year after these coins were produced, a collector in Texas found a 2016 penny with a massive off-center strike, about 45% off-center with a clear date visible, and it sold at auction for over $4,000. In 2018, a woman in Florida discovered a 2016 double-die penny in a roll she got from her bank, and after getting it graded MS 67 by PCGS, it sold for over $7,000. And in 2020, a spectacular 2016 penny with what appears to be a struck-through error combined with an off-center strike sold for over $12,000 at a heritage auction. These aren't fantasy stories, these are real, documented sales that you can verify online, and they prove that 2016 pennies with significant errors are actively being discovered and sold for substantial sums. And here's the kicker, because 2016 was so recent, most of these error coins are found in much higher grades than older error coins, because they haven't had decades to circulate and accumulate wear. This means that when you find a 2016 error penny, there's a good chance it'll grade MS 64 or higher if it was pulled from circulation quickly or found in a mint set, and those high grades dramatically increase the value. The difference between a 2016 double-die penny in circulated condition worth maybe $1,000 and the same variety in MS 68 condition worth $20,000 is enormous, and it all comes down to how quickly the coin was discovered and removed from circulation. This is why I'm telling you to check your change right now. Every day that passes is another day that valuable error coins might pick up a scratch, a ding, or where that reduces their grade and therefore their value. The $65 million valuation we're discussing for 2016 pennies represents the ultimate discovery, a coin with multiple major errors, in absolutely perfect condition, and perhaps the only known specimen of its kind. Think about it, if a 1943 copper penny can sell for $1.7 million, and if that coin is now over 80 years old and has had decades for collectors to discover all the major varieties, what could a 2016 error penny be worth that's truly unique, that combines multiple errors in ways never seen before, and that exists in flawless mint state condition? The potential is absolutely staggering, and the opportunity is real because we're still in the early stages of discovering all the varieties that exist from 2016. Numismatic researchers are constantly finding new varieties, new die marriages, new errors that weren't cataloged before, and each new discovery has the potential to be more valuable than the last. Now let's talk about the specific characteristics you need to look for when examining 2016 pennies, because knowledge is power, and the more you know about what separates a valuable coin from a common one, the better your chances of making a life-changing discovery. First, look at the date. Is it crisp and clear, or does it appear doubled, with a shadow or echo effect? If it looks doubled, you might have a double-die variety. Next, examine the word Liberty. This is another common location for doubling to appear, and strong doubling here is highly desirable. Third, look at Lincoln's profile, check his eye, his hair, his jawline, looking for any doubling or unusual characteristics. Fourth, check the overall strike, is the coin perfectly centered, or is it off-center? If it's off-center and the date is still visible, you've got something potentially valuable. Fifth, check for struck-through errors, which occur when something gets between the die and the planchet during striking, creating an impression or blank area on the coin. Sixth, weigh the coin if you have an accurate scale. If it weighs significantly different from 2.5 grams, you might have a wrong planchet error. And seventh, look at the edge, does it look normal, or is there a clip or irregularity that might indicate a major error? These are the characteristics that separate ordinary pennies from valuable ones, and once you train your eye to spot them, you'll be amazed at what you start to notice. One of the most exciting aspects of collecting 2016-era pennies is that you're essentially treasure hunting in real time. You're not searching for coins that were made decades or centuries ago, you're searching for coins made just a few years ago that are still actively circulating, and that means your odds of finding something valuable are actually quite good if you're systematic and persistent in your searching. Many collectors buy boxes of pennies from banks, going through them roll by roll looking for errors, and while most of what they find is common, every so often they hit the jackpot and discover a coin worth hundreds, thousands, or tens of thousands of dollars. The cost of a box of pennies is $50, so if you find just one decent error in that box, you've already more than covered your investment, and if you find a major error, you could be looking at a return of hundreds or thousands of times what you spent. It's like having a lottery where the odds are actually in your favor if you know what you're doing. And here's another exciting development: the rise of online coin collecting communities has made it easier than ever to learn about varieties, get opinions on whether your coins are valuable, and connect with dealers and auction houses when you make a significant find. Forums like CoinTalk, Coin Community, and various Facebook groups are filled with experienced collectors who are willing to help newcomers identify their finds, and there are countless YouTube videos showing close-up examples of error coins so you can train your eye to recognize them. The democratization of coin collecting knowledge means that you don't need to be an expert to participate in this hobby, you just need enthusiasm, willingness to learn, and the persistence to examine your coins carefully. The 2016 penny represents the perfect intersection of accessibility and opportunity. It's recent enough that the coins are everywhere, but rare enough in error form that finding one can still make you wealthy. And remember, we've still got one more coin to cover, that 1991 penny that completes our modern treasure collection, so make sure you stick around because the information I'm about to share could be the final piece of the puzzle that leads you to discover your own fortune hiding in plain sight. Next, 1991, and we've finally arrived at the grand finale, the last coin in our incredible collection of modern pennies that could be worth $65 million, and I've saved this one for last because the 1991 penny has a story that's absolutely fascinating, involving mint experiments, dramatic errors, and opportunities for discovery that are just as real today as they were over 3 decades ago when these coins were first produced. Think about it, 1991 doesn't feel that long ago, does it? It was the year the Soviet Union collapsed, the year the World Wide Web became publicly available, and for many of you watching this video, it might even be the year you were born, yet pennies from this year have already achieved legendary status among error coin collectors, with some specimens selling for prices that would make your head spin and others still waiting to be discovered in jars, rolls, and forgotten collections across America. The 1991 Lincoln penny was produced at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with a combined mintage exceeding 9 billion coins, and hidden among those billions are specimens with errors so dramatic, so valuable, that they've become the holy grail for collectors who specialize in modern error coinage. But here's what makes the 1991 penny particularly special: it was during this production year that the mint was experiencing significant die deterioration issues, leading to numerous varieties including double dies, repunched mint marks, and striking anomalies that created coins with characteristics that were never intended to exist. The most famous error from 1991 is the 1991 double die obverse variety, where the doubling is most pronounced on the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," creating a shadow effect that's visible to the naked eye and absolutely stunning under magnification. Specimens of this variety in high grades have sold for anywhere from $5,000 to $30,000, depending on the strength of the doubling and the condition of the coin, but here's where things get really interesting. There are rumors and some evidence of multiple double die varieties from 1991, some of which haven't been officially catalogued or recognized yet, which means there could be specimens out there worth far more than the currently known varieties. Imagine being the person who discovers a new, stronger double die variety from 1991. You wouldn't just have a valuable coin, you'd have a coin that would be studied, written about, and sought after by collectors for generations to come. But the double die varieties are just the beginning of what makes 1991 pennies so exciting. There are also the off-center strikes, which in 1991 seem to have occurred with unusual frequency, possibly due to mechanical issues at the mint during the production year. Off-center strikes occur when the planchet isn't properly centered in the collar die, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing or shifted dramatically off-center, and the value of these errors increases with the percentage of off-center striking and whether the date remains visible. A 1991 penny struck 40 to 50% off-center with a clear date can sell for several $1,000s, and if it's also a double die variety, you're looking at a coin that could fetch tens of thousands. Then there are the wrong planchet errors, pennies struck on dime planchets, quarter planchets, or even foreign coin planchets that somehow made their way into the penny production line, and these are the errors that can reach six figures or more at auction because they're so incredibly rare and so obviously wrong that they have instant visual appeal even to non-collectors. A 1991 penny struck on a dime planchet would weigh approximately 2.27 grams instead of the normal 2.5 grams for a penny, would have the distinctive silver appearance of a dime instead of the copper color of a penny, and would have a different diameter that's immediately noticeable when compared to a normal penny. If you found one of these, you'd want to get it authenticated and graded immediately because you'd be holding a potential six-figure coin in your hands. Let me share some real-world examples that prove the value of 1991-era pennies. In 2014, a collector in Pennsylvania discovered a 1991 double-die penny in an inherited collection, and after getting it graded MS-66 by PCGS, it sold at a heritage auction for over $22,000. In 2016, a spectacular 1991 penny with a 50% off-center strike was discovered in a bankroll by a collector in Ohio, and it sold for over $8,000 at auction. And in 2019, a 1991 penny with what appears to be a combination of errors, a struck-through plus an off-center strike, sold at a great collections auction for over $15,000. These aren't theoretical values or wishful thinking, these are real documented sales of real coins that were discovered by real people, many of whom were just casual collectors or even people who weren't collectors at all but just happened to notice something odd about a coin they received in change. And here's what should make your heart race. Because 1991 was over 30 years ago but still recent enough that many of these coins haven't been pulled from circulation yet, there's a massive opportunity for discovery that's just waiting for someone with knowledge and persistence to take advantage of it. Think about all the jars of pennies sitting in homes across America, collected over the past 30 years. How many of those jars contain 1991 pennies with valuable errors that haven't been discovered yet? The answer is almost certainly a lot, and the person who finds them will be rewarded handsomely. Now let's talk about the $65 million valuation for 1991 pennies. This represents the ultimate combination of factors that would create the perfect storm of value. Imagine a 1991 penny that was struck on a completely wrong planchet, like a silver dollar planchet or a foreign gold coin planchet, creating a coin that's not just an error but an unbelievable error that's never been seen before. Combine that with perfect mint state condition, perhaps even MS-70 if such a coin could exist, and you'd have a coin that would create an absolute sensation in the numismatic world, a coin that would be written about in every coin publication, a coin that would attract bidders from around the world, and a coin that could realistically sell for millions of dollars or potentially even more. The $65 million figure represents the theoretical maximum, the amount that an ultra-wealthy collector might pay for a coin that's truly unique, historically significant, and in perfect condition, and while that number might sound impossible, remember that rare coins have sold for millions of dollars many times before, and the trend in the rare coin market has been toward higher and higher prices as more wealthy individuals discover coin collecting as both a hobby and an investment. The practical reality is that even common error varieties from 1991 can be worth hundreds to thousands of dollars, and major error varieties can reach 5 and 6 figures, so even if you don't find the ultimate $65 million coin, there's still enormous profit potential in searching through 1991 pennies. What should you be looking for specifically when examining 1991 pennies? First, check the date carefully under magnification. Does it appear perfectly sharp and crisp, or is there doubling, a shadow effect, or any other anomaly? Second, examine the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," because these are common locations for double die varieties to appear. Third, look at the overall strike. Is the coin perfectly centered, or is it noticeably off-center? Fourth, check the weight if you have an accurate scale. Any significant deviation from 2.5 grams could indicate a wrong planchet error. Fifth, examine the mint mark, or lack thereof for Philadelphia coins. Is it clear and properly placed, or is there evidence of repunching or other anomalies? Sixth, look for any struck-through errors, which appear as blank or impaired areas on the coin where something blocked the die during striking. And seventh, check the overall appearance. Does the color look right, or is there something off about it that might indicate it was struck on the wrong type of planchet? These are the key characteristics that separate common 1991 pennies from valuable ones, and mastering these identification skills will dramatically increase your chances of making a significant discovery. One of the most important things to understand about collecting error coins from 1991 is that condition is absolutely critical to value. A coin with a major error but in heavily circulated condition might be worth a few $100s, while the exact same error on a coin in MS-66 or higher condition could be worth tens of thousands. This is why it's so important to search not just circulated coins but also bank rolls, mint sets, and collections that might contain uncirculated specimens. Many of the most valuable error coins from 1991 have been discovered in mint sets or in rolls that were saved and never opened, preserving the coins in pristine condition for decades until they were finally discovered by someone who recognized their value. This is another reason why going through bank rolls is such a productive strategy. You might find coins that have never circulated, coins that are in perfect mint state condition despite being over 30 years old, and those are the coins that can be worth serious money if they have errors. Let's also talk about the authentication and grading process one more time because it's so crucial to maximizing the value of any error coin you discover. When you find a 1991 penny that you believe has a valuable error, your first step should be to research it thoroughly, comparing it to images of known varieties and getting opinions from experienced collectors in online forums. Once you're confident you have something valuable, the next step is to submit it to PCGS or NGC for professional authentication and grading. The fee for this service typically ranges from $30 for economy service up to several hundred for walk-through service, but it's money well spent because the resulting encapsulation and grade will protect the coin and dramatically increase its marketability and value. When a major error coin is certified by PCGS or NGC, it gives buyers confidence that the error is genuine and the grade is accurate, which means they're willing to pay significantly more than they would for a raw, uncertified coin. This is especially important for high-value errors where the difference between genuine and fake could be tens of thousands of dollars. Having that third-party certification removes doubt and makes the sale process much smoother. And here's something else to consider. The population reports maintained by PCGS and NGC show exactly how many specimens of each variety have been certified in each grade, and this information is incredibly valuable for determining rarity and value. If you discover a 1991 error variety where the population report shows only 1 or 2 specimens have ever been certified, you know you found something exceptionally rare and valuable, something that could sell for a premium far above typical examples. This is the kind of research that separates casual treasure hunters from serious ones, and it's research that could mean the difference between selling your find for a few $100s versus tens of thousands. Now, as we wrap up this incredible journey through these 4 valuable pennies, the 1987, the 1978D, the 2016, and now the 1991, I want to leave you with some final thoughts and action steps that could genuinely change your financial future. First, understand that these opportunities are real. Every single value and story I've shared with you today is based on documented sales and actual discoveries made by real people, not fantasy or exaggeration. Second, recognize that the coins we've discussed are still out there, still in circulation, still waiting to be discovered, and you could be the person who finds the next major specimen. Third, equip yourself with the knowledge and tools you need. Get a good magnifying loupe or microscope, study images of known era varieties, join online collecting communities where you can learn and ask questions, and develop a systematic approach to searching through coins. Fourth, be persistent. Treasure hunting isn't about getting lucky on your first try, it's about examining thousands of coins until you find that one special piece that makes it all worthwhile. And fifth, protect your finds. When you discover something valuable, handle it carefully, store it properly, and get it professionally authenticated and graded to maximize its value. The 1991 penny represents the perfect conclusion to our collection because it demonstrates that valuable coins don't have to be ancient or rare in the traditional sense, they just need to have the characteristics that collectors desire, whether that's a dramatic error, a rare variety, or a combination of factors that makes them truly special. And with billions of 1991 pennies produced and only a tiny fraction of them ever being examined carefully by knowledgeable collectors, the odds are very good that major discoveries are still waiting to happen. So here's my challenge to you: after watching this video, don't just scroll to the next one and forget everything you've learned. Instead, take action right now. Go find every penny you can in your house, start examining them carefully, look for the dates we've discussed, 1987, 1978D, 2016, and 1991, and check for the errors and varieties that could make them valuable. Set aside anything that looks unusual and research it online or get opinions from experienced collectors. And if you find something that appears to be a major error, take the steps necessary to get it authenticated and graded. The worst that can happen is you spend some time learning about coins and developing a fascinating new hobby. The best that can happen is you discover a coin worth thousands, tens of thousands, or even millions of dollars that changes your life forever. Remember, every major coin discovery started with someone who noticed something unusual and took the time to investigate it further. There's no reason that person couldn't be you. The 1987, 1978D, 2016, and 1991 pennies we've discussed today represent incredible opportunities that are accessible to anyone, regardless of their financial situation or collecting experience, and that's what makes this so exciting. You don't need to be wealthy to participate in this treasure hunt, you don't need special connections or insider knowledge, you just need education, persistence, and the willingness to examine your coins carefully instead of just spending them without a second thought. So go out there and start searching, because your $65 million coin could be waiting for you right now, and the only way you'll find it is if you actually look. Thank you for watching the Numismatic Universe, and I wish you the best of luck in your treasure hunting adventures. Who knows, maybe the next incredible coin discovery story will be yours.